All right, let's say we are given this quadratic equation and we want to figure out how could we actually graph it. All right, so the first thing I probably would like to do is find the vertex, and I can do that because I know the vertex formula is HK. We did this I mentioned it in the notes on the problem before. And so in this case, that becomes, if this is in the standard form, ax minus h squared plus k. So we can see the minus h, the minus is already there, so that would be 1. But the k being positive, so we need a negative and a negative, so that would be at -4. So that tells me, and I'm going to graph it over here in the lab so you can see how to graph it, but that tells me if I go to 1 and down to -4, that's going to be where the vertex will be. All right, and of course the axis of symmetry would be at my x equals 1. So it'd be nice to find some vertex or intercepts, the x-intercept and the y-intercept. How you find the x-intercept, that's when you're on the y-axis. So that's when y equals 0, or in this case, f of x equals 0. So go back up here and let f of x equals 0, and then solve this for x. So I can throw the 4 to the other side, add 4 on both sides. Remember, when you have something squared and you want to get rid of it, you take the square root. However, you have to be careful when you do the square root. You need to be doing the plus and minus. Okay, so when you square root, do the plus and minus. So this would be plus and minus 2 equals just x minus 1, because once I square rooted it, the square went away. And so I'm going to have either x minus 1 equals positive 2, and then I'm going to have x minus 1 equals negative 2. So if I add x to both sides, that becomes 3, and this becomes negative 1. So what that means is at 3, 0, and at -1, 0, -1, 0, and 3, 0, so -1 and 3, that's going to be my x-intercept. So this parabola will go through those points. Well, I also need to know the y-intercept. That one's a little easier because the y-intercept is when, let's do this, y-intercept is when x equals 0. So you just go back up to your equation, and where you see x, you plug in 0. So that's going to end up being 1 minus 4, which will be -3. So at 0, -3, be that point right there for your y-intercept. So just because this is kind of a little weird for graphing, let's see how to graph this. I do this click to enlarge the graph. You want to click the parabola here. Notice, kind of read up here, it says click to plot the vertex of your parabola. So if we go back and look, that was at 1, -4. And if you watch in that upper right-hand corner, it shows you the point, so you know if you pick the right place. All right, so it says click the graph to plot a point on your parabola. So I probably would go ahead and do the y-intercepts, which would be 3, 0, and then the -1, 0 automatically went. And then, of course, I can check and see the -3, 0 went as well. All right, and that's it.